Hello, my name is Laura and welcome to the Learning Reading Hub. Today I'm going to be talking about the best reading programs out there to teach your child to read. I know how overwhelming looking for reading programs can be. There are just so many and it gets really confusing. So I have done the homework for you. By the end of this video, you will be able to have a very clear picture of the best reading programs you can pick for teaching your child to read, and also have a very good understanding of which option suits more your child's learning style. Even though I've done extensive research on the topic, of course there could be programs that I'm not aware of. There are just so many, as you may have noticed, which is precisely what motivated me to do this video. And now, without further ado, let's get started. First of all, I would like to be really frank with you and tell you where I personally stand with regards to the huge debate there is about phonics versus whole word methodologies versus balanced literacy. I truly believe that phonics is the best approach for teaching children to read. However, my belief is not just a belief. It is based on overwhelming evidence on what modern science has to say about how the brain works and how we learn to read. So, the programs that I have shortlisted are all phonics programs, but all phonics programs are not created equally, not at all. There are big differences among different programs. My preference, which again is based on what modern science has to say about this, are research-based synthetic phonics programs. By the way, if you are confused by the terminology, don't worry, I have the video just for you where I talk more in detail about what synthetic phonics is. If interested, you can find the link to that other video on the video description. I have also shortlisted programs with different teaching learning styles. I know that we all as parents, as families, have different lifestyles, circumstances and preferences. Some of us just want to be taken by the hand, do not want to overthink, and we just want to be told what to do. For example, following a script. Some of us appreciate some flexibility and don't mind a little bit of extra preparation. Some people might have more time than others. Some of you I know are looking for a curriculum for homeschooling your kids. There is a common denominator for all of us, I think, as parents, and that is that we are very busy and want something effective and efficient. That has been on top of my list. Last thing we need is to be wasting our time or our money. By the way, even though I am not going to be doing a full in-depth review for each of the programs on this video, basically because that is not the purpose of the video, I just want to show you the possibilities and point you in the right direction. Still, I am going to be throwing a lot of information at you. If this is too much information all at once and you can't remember everything, don't worry, relax, I understand. You can of course rewatch the video, but I also created a download my notes document that will be available on a link on the video description. I am also planning to publish an article on the Learning Reading Hub blog. If that is ready by the time you're watching this video, you will also find a link to that article on the video description. The first reading program that I want to talk about is Children Learning Reading. Well, if you know me, it is no secret that I really like this program. I personally use it with my older daughter and her progress was amazing. The program follows a combination of phonemic awareness and synthetic phonics principles, which is pretty unique and in my experience, very effective. Phonemic awareness, if you don't know, is the ability to identify and manipulate the individual sounds in words. These are called phonemes. For instance, the word cat is formed by the individual sounds k, a, t. A child with phonemic awareness can identify those three sounds in the word cat, but also knows that when we add or replace one of its sounds, we get a new word. For instance, by adding the s sound at the end of the word cat, you get the word cats. And when you replace the k sound for sound, for instance, you get the word mad. It looks like a simple theme without too much importance, but developing phonemic awareness is crucial. In fact, it has been found to be the main predictor for successful reading. So, the focus on the development of phonemic awareness that this program has is really great. The program is designed in 2 stages, the foundational stage and the advanced stage. Each stage has its own manual and lessons. These lessons are short and will take around 2 to 20 minutes a day to complete. Yes, 2 minutes. Well, this is because this program was created with young readers in mind, and when I say young readers, really young readers. When using this program, I noticed that it was created so the initial lessons are short and easily digestible for really young learners. Then once your child has developed the foundational skills for learning to read fluently, that is, once he has finished or she has finished Manual 1, the lessons start to become longer and more complicated. But the thing is that once your child gets there, the concepts that he or she is learning will build upon the knowledge that he or she already has, creating this sort of compounding effect, if you wish. If you're wondering what your child will be able to read after finishing Manual 1, well, he or she will be able to read simple words without much effort, very fluently. For instance, CVC words. These are the words that follow the structure consonant, vowel, consonant, such as cat, dog, hop, cup, and this is the most basic word structure in the English language, but also more complex words such as CCVC words. These are consonant, consonant, vowel, consonant words such as spin, flip, crop, spit. She or he will be able to read these in isolation, but also as parts of full sentences and simple stories. But he or she will be doing this very fluently, without lots of pauses, without having to think of every single sound, because you've worked a lot on making this retrieval process automatic. In stage 2, your child is introduced in a systematic way to more advanced and challenging concepts, such as letter combination sounds. For example, ch, th, sh. The idea that we can represent the same sound in different ways. For instance, the f sound can be represented with an F, as in fun, with the letters PH, as in photo, or with the letters GH, as in laugh, and even more complex things, such as R-controlled syllables. I repeat, the good thing is he or she is introduced to all of these more difficult concepts in a systematic way, in a logic order, basically when he or she is ready for it and it makes sense. However, bear in mind that the teaching style of this program might not work for all children. Even though there are some games and fun activity suggestions, especially for younger kids for the development of phonemic awareness, I wouldn't say that this program has a multisensory approach, and maybe your child can find this approach unexciting and sort of repetitive. Also, this program is only available online as a digital download that you're going to have to print out yourself. So, if you want the actual physical printed textbooks full of colors and with the experience that textbooks bring, then this program is probably not for you. Also, I do not consider this program a learning to spell program or a writing program. Even though your child will obviously benefit from the information on this program when it comes to learning to write and spell, you will most likely have to reinforce that part with some additional resources. It is also very cost-effective. Most reading programs have level 1, level 2, level 3, etc., and you have to pay for them separately. Here you get all the levels included in the 2 manuals for approximately $70 to $90 depending on the package that you go for. And by the way, I don't know when you're going to be watching this video. This is the price at the time I am recording this video. This is a very solid program that can work very well for younger children because, as I mentioned, it was very much created for them. And in fact, the author of the program taught his 4 children, I think, to read following his own system by age 3 or 4, something incredible. You could start to do this program with your child on the year before starting school. That's definitely something that could be very beneficial for your child, but bear in mind, if you decide to do that, most likely your child will be reading fluently when he or she starts school. Nothing wrong with that, but that's what's likely going to happen. It is also a very good program if you just want to use it as a complement to reading instruction at the school. Why would you like to do this? Well, maybe you're not happy, you're not convinced that the methods that they are using at your child's school offer a good, solid phonics foundation. That was actually what attracted me to this program. The reason why I think this program works so well with a kid that goes to school is because it doesn't take too long to work through the lesson, as I mentioned before, and it doesn't require a lot of preparation or a lot of materials either. Apart from the manuals, you also get some printouts, some lesson stories, but honestly, it doesn't get very messy at all. Besides, if you lose anything, you can easily reprint things because you have forever access to the materials and any update as well that they may do in the future. You could also use this program for homeschooling. However, in my opinion, you're going to need to reinforce the writing, spelling side with other materials. This program comes with a 90-day money-back guarantee, which I think is pretty reassuring. So if you think this might be the right fit for your child and then you discover it's not, no problems, you get your money back. If you want to know even more about this program, I created an in-depth review of this program when I also show you all the materials. I will leave you a link on the video description. And remember, you also have the download my notes document on the video description, as well as a link to the actual Children Learning Reading Program website. In the second place, I'm going to be talking about All About Reading. You have probably heard of this program before. It is very renowned and for good reason. This program is great if you're after a multi-sensory program. That is actually fantastic for so many children that actually learn through manipulation and kinetic experiences. All About Reading follows the Orto-Gillingham approach. Okay, big words, but what does this mean? Well, if you have a child with dyslexia or suspect you have one, then it is likely that you may have heard of this approach before. The main idea behind the Orto-Gillingham approach is to take the 3 pathways to the brain for a more holistic learning experience. The first pathway is the multisensory approach to teaching reading. By doing this, we are encouraging the left side and the right side of the brain to work together, creating stronger connections. The second pathway is the auditory one. The Orto-Gillingham approach is therefore phonics-based and goes all the way down to the phoneme level. Again, this program places a lot of importance on the development of phonemic awareness. And finally, the third pathway to the brain is the visual pathway. By the way, don't think that the visual pathway means that your child will be encouraged to look at pictures or guess words or learn with strategies such as word shapes. That is the opposite to their learning style. What it means is that your child will play games with flashcards, as flashcards are an important element of the curriculum. But I repeat, the objective of the flashcards is not to visually memorize the words, but to actually engage with them, as I said. Also, don't think that because this program follows the Orto-Gillingham approach, is only good for children with dyslexia. Any child can do great with this program. There are just so many kids that love and benefit from a multisensory approach. The program is lightly scripted. This means that it leaves you certain room for flexibility, but at the same time, it also gives you a script to follow. So there is not much preparation required. You can be sure that you won't forget or leave anything important out, but at the same time, you can adjust the lesson a little bit to your child. How long does it take? Well, the recommendation from All About Reading is to keep the lesson to up to 20 minutes a day, regardless of whether you have finished the lesson or not. If the lesson took 3 days to complete, it is okay. It took 3 days. Otherwise, lessons over 20 minutes they consider might be too much for the child. However, they also encourage you to read their books for 20 minutes a day. By the way, books and stories are included in the program. They are phonetically decodable and in line with the reading level that your child is every step of the way. The program also has what they call a no gaps approach. This means that they don't leave concepts unexplained or in the air. The curriculum doesn't assume that children will just figure things out by themselves. Again, this is something that I really value and I think is fantastic for any kid learning to read. English is complicated. The spelling system is really one of the most complex there are out there. Besides, there are many sounds, especially vowel sounds. For instance, 14 sounds for vowels as opposed to, for instance, 5 in Spanish. The sounds are represented in different ways, leaving things a chance and assume that children will just get this complex system all by themselves is too much to hope for, I think. And while it is true that some children might get it without receiving an explicit instruction, many won't. And what happens as well in many cases when children are not taught explicitly and you leave gaps is that those children that apparently got it all by themselves, well, in reality, they didn't. They have just learned to cope with other strategies such as memory or guessing to cover up for the gaps in the system. Reading English and English spelling is not straightforward. It doesn't mean it doesn't make sense, but it's just not very straightforward. If we were comparing it to a sport, it would be a complicated sport to figure out, such as cricket. Many rules, difficult to follow and understand. You would probably need to be explained all the rules of the game in a systematic manner, starting with the simpler ones, so you can eventually follow the game and know what is going on. Spanish could be something like soccer, less rules, more simple rules, more straightforward, okay? You can probably get away and understand soccer with less explanations. Okay, let's continue. This program is also very sequential and logical in the order that it introduces concepts. Again, this goes very much in line with what I said before. The concepts are introduced in an incremental way. And another thing that I really like is that there are many opportunities to review previous concepts to make sure that your child has fully mastered what he or she's learned before he or she moves on. This is really important in my opinion because sometimes we explain something once and we see that our children get it, so we think, great, they've mastered it, and then, oh no, you realize they have forgotten all about it. Another big thing worth mentioning is that this program tackles reading and spelling separately, so your child can advance faster with reading, but you have to buy 2 different programs. They also do that because they go deep into spelling rules. Again, they want to embrace the no gaps approach. I think that being explicitly told spelling rules, as I said, is great, a very good idea, because as we've seen before, spelling is not straightforward. As opposed to children learning reading, All About Reading is not a digital product that you download and print out at home. They send you the physical products. They have 5 reading levels. You're probably wondering, how do I know which level is best for my child? You can do a placement test from their site, and I will make sure to include a link to the placement test on the video description and also on the download my notes document. You can also claim a free sample of the program, including 2 lessons, so you can check before buying what you're signing up for. I am not going to lie, this program can get expensive. I won't go into specific prices here because again, I am not sure when you're going to be watching this video, and prices change all the time. But I'd imagine it will continue to be on the pricey spectrum for learning to read programs, because also you have to buy many levels in order to complete the entire program. Also, this program never goes on sale or offer coupon prices or anything of the kind. And if you find these coupons on the internet, the All About Reading website clearly states that they are not real, that they are not going to be valid. On the other hand, they give you 1 full year to try the All About Reading and All About Spelling program. If the program that you bought doesn't meet your expectations, you can return the program in whatever use condition it might be and get a full refund. That says a lot, in my opinion, about the trust that they have in their product and about the company itself. The only caveat here, and take note because this is very important, this only applies to purchases made directly from their official site. So if you want to avail of this return policy, make sure that you use the official website when you're purchasing this product. Again, don't worry because I will leave you the link to their official website on the video description and on the download my notes document. By the way, when you purchase All About Reading, you also get access to their app, which is an additional tool for your child to practice. This program is a great alternative and a very popular one if you're looking to homeschool your child. The main con here is the price. As we've seen before, it can get expensive. On the other hand, as I explained as well, you have that amazing 1-year money-back guarantee if you buy from their website. Also, I wanted to mention that it is hands-on for the parent. You need to support your child. You are his or her teacher. You need to be there to guide your child all the way through. The third program on the list is Logic of English. This is another Arthur Gillingham reading curriculum. That means that could be a very good fit for you again if you have a dyslexic child or you suspect you might have one, or for any struggling reader, but it could be good in general for any kid, especially if they thrive on and learn better with multisensory experiences. Again, this program was created by a mom with a dyslexic child. Since I already explained a lot about the Arthur Gillingham approach when talking about All About Reading, I am not going to extend very much on this. What I thought would be a good idea is to actually go through the main differences between Logic of English and All About Reading. So let's start. What I think that sets this program apart is that it takes the no gaps approach to the next level, really. It goes very deep into the logic of English and why things are spelled and read in the way they are. So if you have a child that really wants to understand everything and doesn't take the "oh, this is an exception" phrase for an answer, I recommend it. So in line with this program introduces all the sounds that letters make at the same time. You're not gonna be teaching your child, this is the letter A and it makes the A sound, as in cat, pat, mat. You are going to introduce all the letter sounds at the same time. So this is the letter A and it makes the A sound, the A sound and the sound. To be honest, as a side note, there are up to 7 different sounds that the letter A can make, but those 3 are definitely the ones that your child has to learn because they cover almost 100% of the English words with an A. You may think, oh gosh, this is overwhelming. But in a way, when you think about it, it makes sense. This way they don't get all confused when you suddenly say to them, you know what? The letter A that I have been insisting makes the A sound. It turns out it can also say its name, A, and actually it can also do this other sound, This way you introduce these other sounds as rules, not as exceptions, and suddenly words such as about, which has a schwa sound at the beginning, or the word the, with a schwa sound for the letter E are not exceptions anymore. I must admit that this is not the way I personally have taught my older child. For instance, with the letter A, I started with the short sound A, and then I explained about how it can say its name sometimes, and she knows there is this strange sound that happens in words, so she knows the letter A can make all of these other sounds. But I wonder, would it have been better and easier for her if I just introduced all of the sounds at the same time? I don't know. I am really not doing that with my younger child either. She is on the phonemic awareness stage at the moment, really, but I wonder if I should. Anyway, food for thought for me. Enough of my rambling. Another difference is that on this reading program there are more games and sort of fun activities than it all about reading. So if you thought that you were going for a program that is all about studying English rules and that it was going to be very boring, well, not really. Remember, it is still a multisensory approach. You do teach the rules, but using lots of interactive games. Another big difference is that the program tackles reading, writing, and spelling all at the same time. When buying this program, you're going to have to make a choice between buying cursive or manuscript for writing. This really caught my attention. If you don't know the difference between cursive and manuscript, cursive is something like this, and manuscript is something like this. Cursive does not only take out of the picture certain problems such as beginners reading struggle with B and D reversal, because B in cursive is something like this and D in cursive is something like this. So it is not confusing anymore. But apart from that, and also being beautiful, it is also becoming apparent in the scientific world that learning through cursive can be extremely beneficial for the cognitive development of children. It does to your mind sort of the same benefits that learning to play an instrument. This is new to me, by the way. And maybe this is something that you want to dig into as well before deciding whether to buy manuscript or cursive, should you decide to actually go for the Logic of English program. I will make sure to include links on the download my notes document in case you're interested. They have 3 levels, A, B, 3, and on their site you can do a quick test to see which one they recommend. Regarding the price, again, on the pricey spectrum. But again, this is a good quality program. Might seem a little bit more expensive than All About Reading, but since they include spelling and writing instruction on the same program, when you work things out, prices are pretty similar. Do not want to give you final prices here because again, I don't know when you're going to be watching this video. So I leave you a link to their website on the video description and of course on the download my notes document. Regarding their return policy, they offer a 90-day money back guarantee. The next one on the list is Hooked on Phonics. This is another good quality phonics program, and this is the one that I am currently using with my older daughter. I purchased it especially because I felt she needed to work on her spelling. Regarding the actual reading, I think the level I purchased, which was in theory the appropriate for her age, it was too basic when it comes to reading. But she can read fluently almost everything, if not everything, on level 6 at the moment, and the level was appropriate for ages 6 to 7. Having said that, as you know, she's had lots of reading instruction, not only the reading instruction from school, but from the Children Learning Reading program, the first program I spoke about. I mean, I knew she had made some massive progress, but I found this quite extraordinary. She is at least one level above her grade. So that is quite telling of how well the approach of the Children Learning Reading program has worked for us and why I am happy to actually recommend it. Anyway, this doesn't mean that hooked on phonics is bad. It just means that when you're buying, don't look so much at the ages when you're deciding what level to buy, but to the actual contents, so you don't make the same mistake I made. In case you're wondering, I am not going to be returning it because it is fun. She is reviewing concepts, which is always good, but it's going to be especially great for us during the summer, which is quickly approaching in our side of the world. She actually really likes it. It's really easy to follow, very good for busy parents because honestly, most of the work is done for you. Importantly, I feel she's definitely working on the spelling side of things, which, as I said, is something that she hasn't mastered yet. We really have a lot of work to do. This is making me really understand why certain programs, such as All About Reading, tackle reading and spelling separately. You learn how to read, but that doesn't mean you learn how to spell. That doesn't mean you are a good speller. If you want to become a good speller at the same time, you can't move as fast. I think Hook on Phonics has a spelling practice pack as well, which is pretty affordable, and depending on how this one goes, I might as well purchase that one. Anyway, coming back to Hooked on Phonics and what you can expect and why I shortlisted it here. Hooked on Phonics is a comprehensive phonics program that also follows the right principles for learning to read. Again, you start by building up your phonemic awareness, letter recognition, etc. And then in a systematic, sequential way, you start to introduce phonics concepts. However, the structure and the system for teaching phonics is completely different to the other programs we have seen before. I find that this structure can work very well for many parents because it is really simple. It doesn't require for the parent to know a great deal about phonics. It doesn't require a lot of preparation. You don't have a lot of materials all over the place, so you get it really convenient. The structure of the lessons is always the same. So once you get the hang of it, and you will very easily because it is very straightforward, it will become part of your routine. So let's see how that structure looks like. You get a DVD with the video lessons to follow along with the student book. If you don't have a DVD player, these days many people don't, can register your Hooked on Phonics kit for online access to the video lessons, which is what I did. By the way, a little word of caution here. If you want online access to the videos, don't buy secondhand, because the ISBN of your kit might already have been taken and registered under someone else's account. So, as I said, each lesson on the book has a corresponding video lesson. And this is how your child is going to start his or her lesson each day, watching the video lesson. The video covers the learn, practice bit. Once your child has finished the video lesson, around 5 minutes, you return to the workbook and work on the learn, practice pages. Remember, this is already familiar to your child. He or she has already seen this on the video lesson. After that, it is time to read. Once you're done, the lesson is finished. Your child gets his or her sticker if you consider they've done a good job and don't want to repeat the same lesson on the next day. Every day, same structure. Simple for you, simple for your child. A few games are introduced on some lessons as well. Okay, are you interested in seeing if the video contents might be engaging enough or educational enough? Okay, let's have a look at a short clip of a video lesson.
Now you're going to learn to read words that end with ng. Ng. Song. Hung. Rang. Bang. long. Sing.
Also, you get nice readers that are appropriate for your child's reading level, and don't worry, they tell you exactly when your child is ready for them. It looks simple and sort of repetitive, but many kids do very well with this repetition and routine. That is what actually attracted me to it. I like simple. I like finding a simple system and a routine. And I find that works for my child too. It doesn't mean you can't add a little bit of play here and there, but she thrives on a structure and loves video lessons. Again, this program can be costly for some families, not as much as Logic of English or All About Reading, but still it can be an investment. But if you're convinced that this system is what your child is gonna thrive on, then you can get the complete Learn to Read kit that goes all the way up to level 8. Those are all the levels they have, and then you can save a lot of money. Besides, they also have an app. This is different from the video lessons, and if you're interested, you can get a bundle with all the levels plus 1 year access to the app for a little bit more. I am not going to give you specific prices again because they may be different by the time you're watching this video. So I encourage you to check their official site. You'll find links on the video description and also, of course, on the download my notes document that I prepared for you. I also wanted to include less pricey alternatives here. If that is what you're looking for, then I will give you two: Alpha Phonics and Teach Your Child to Read in 100 Easy Lessons. Sorry, I couldn't make up my mind between these two, so I will go through both. This will maybe even help you clarify some doubts because I know many people want to understand the difference between these two very popular manuals. So this is Teach Your Child to Read in 100 Easy Lessons. It is a very popular program, and in fact, I think it is the #1 bestseller on Amazon for learning to read programs. Why would you want to pick this program? Well, if you want something that doesn't require a lot of preparation and want something that takes you by the hand with a script, this could be a very good option. On this program, as I said, you follow a script, and this is literal. I mean, it is not lightly scripted. It is scripted word by word. You can't move a comma of what you say to your child. You have to use the exact words that they say to use on the lesson, pause when they ask you to pause, and even how you need to correct your child, when you need to correct your child is scripted. So you need to be comfortable with that and trust that the system that they use is going to work. By the way, the system on Teach Your Child to Read in 100 Easy Lessons is called T-STAR and has proven to be very effective if you follow it to a T. And on the manual, they give you all sort of details about this and also explain about all the backup that this system has. A very important detail with this program is that prior to embarking into the lessons, please learn the sounds yourself. You have a guide on the manual that teaches you all the sounds and how to pronounce them correctly. Since I have the manual just with me, so let's go through a few together. So let's find the list of sounds. Here they are. So this is the symbol for the letter M, is the letter M itself, and it is pronounced not ma, with the sound at the end. You should make it long because there are 3 M's as opposed to maybe just one for the letter T. This is a short sound. And again, you don't have to add the sound at the end. The guide also tells you when in the program those sounds are introduced, as you can see. And you may have noticed that there are some weird symbols and weird ways to represent certain things. Lines on top, like for instance here, there's a line on top. Maybe there's 2 letters joined together. This is again part of the D-star system, and there is an explanation for each symbol. To give you an example, the line on top, like this one, that means that it's a long vowel. And a long vowel means that the letter says its name. So that would be E, as in eat, as opposed to E, as in end. Okay, I know, a bit complicated, but you get all the explanations on the manual. By the way, the manual doesn't come with a CD or anything. However, I found a YouTube video from one of the authors of the program that goes through all the sounds and how to properly pronounce them. If you were to purchase this manual for your child, I think you should watch this video. I will leave a link on the video description and on the download my notes document. I don't know, this symbol thing is new to me. I understand it and it makes sense with the explanations that they give you, but it sort of limits the text that you can introduce to your child. You basically can't read normal books, which I guess is okay at the beginning. Your child, especially a young one, will have enough with the text on the manual, but my doubt is how he or she is going to transition after finishing the manual to normal books. I don't know, probably pretty good. Well, I don't know, maybe he or she will be lost without the symbols. Again, you really need to trust the D-star system. Also, I wanted to let you know that the manual is for learning to read, not for learning to write. The manual very clearly says that the writing tasks that you get on the book are included for the reading related value. As we've seen before, some programs focus on reading while others tackle reading, writing and spelling at the same time, and it all has advantages and disadvantages. So let's go through Alpha Phonics now. Don't be confused, it is very different. First of all, it is slightly scripted. You get a script and they give you directions and materials to cover each lesson and also some suggestions, but the program allows for flexibility on how you carry out the lessons and cover the materials. Okay, let's have a look at the approach together because it's pretty simple, so I can easily explain it to you. First of all, you teach the alphabet, and that really called my attention because you teach letter names. They don't say teach letter names and letter sounds at the same time, just teach the alphabet. Also, they are not fans of including any pictures, as you can see. Actually, throughout the entire book, no pictures. For the alphabet is the same thing. No, A is for apple and the picture of an apple, or E is for elephant and the picture of an elephant. There is a reason for that. They don't want children relying on any visual cues that had nothing to do with reading. I sort of agree with that, but if you're not going to rely on visual cues at all when you're teaching your child the alphabet, you're going to have to use other strategies. For instance, in our case, the letter A is the first letter in my daughter's name, so that's an easy one because it's relevant for them. The letter B, we say it has a belly because you can see it has a little belly. The letter C, for instance, is half a cake. The letter D wears diapers. You know, we have some tricks. These little stories might not work in your case. You need to make them relevant for your child. Also, don't be confused by the apparent simplicity for each lesson. These are the instructions for each lesson. Really short, right? But there's a lot to cover in each lesson. For instance, let's have a look together at lesson 1. You go from the alphabet to suddenly 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sounds introduced in the first lesson and blending sounds together to actually read simple words. First lesson. Second lesson, you go over those sounds, you introduce more sounds, and you read more words, slightly longer words, 3 letters words in this case. Next lesson, well, thank God it's a review, but in general, it moves fast. Sometimes I wonder if you want to repeat the lessons or maybe adding a little bit of sounds review at the beginning of the lessons. However, Even though it moves fast, the program follows a logic order, an order that makes sense. Your child won't be introduced suddenly to really advanced concepts out of the blue. I like how they introduce sight words as well. I'll show you an example. For instance, here, you see, they put them inside a box next to other words that have similar spellings to get the child used to the fact that in English, irregularities happen. So they don't give you a random list of sight words that have nothing to do with each other. I like that. I know this is not a sexy program, lists and lists of words, no pictures, but it is all for a reason. They don't want to overcomplicate it, and they don't want children relying on pictures to guess. If your child can read these words, you can be assured that he is actually or she is actually reading. Definitely not guessing, because there's no way to do so. It is not a writing program either, but they actually do talk about the topic and recommend that you start with cursive and give you a few tips on how to find a good writing program. The only thing with these two programs, Teach Your Child to Read in 100 Easy Lessons and Alpha Phonics, is whereas many parents vouch for them and say they are great and that the methodology works, it is also true that many parents complain that their children find the approach very boring. Oh my god, this has been a long video. I said I just wanted to point you in the right direction, but I kept talking and I just had so much to say. And the thing is that there's a lot to say. Still, I haven't covered every single detail, but it is so important that you find the right match for your child, because that can make a huge difference. Remember, you can download the notes on the video description, and also I have left you the links to the programs we have seen today. Also, feel free to comment, to ask questions on the comments section. And if you're interested in topics like this one, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. See you on the next video.